The purpose of today's video is for me to sell you guys on purchasing the Desert Bloom Commander deck from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And I'm going to do that by showing you how this commander deck plays. Now, if you notice that by the end of the video that you are convinced and are going to go out and buy this deck, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you're someone that's not going to buy this deck, let me also know in the comment section below and tell me why you're not going to buy this commander deck. The commander for this deck is Yuma, the Proud Protector. He is an 8-cost commander that reads, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each land card in your graveyard, and also says whenever Yuma enters the battlefield or attacks, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, draw a card. Whenever a desert card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 4/2 green plant warrior creature token with reach. Now, if you've watched the other video on the channel where I talked about how this commander deck plays, you're going to pretty much know the strategy for how to play this commander deck. However, you're going to experience these strategies during the playtest of this video. We have the commander deck right here. This is completely randomized, so what I will do is just cut this just to prove to all of you that this is going to be completely random. However, what will not be completely random is our opening hand. So when we take a look at our opening hand over here, I grabbed 2 lands, 1 land that taps for all the colors we need, a couple of methods of putting lands onto the battlefield and back into our hand, a creature that lets us get lands from our graveyard, and then another ramp spell over here. So we're going to go ahead and start this game. We're going to draw for turn. We will draw into a Mirage Mesa, which is going to enter the battlefield tapped, and we choose 1 color. I'm just going to go ahead and add this to our hand, and we're just going to go ahead and play this Jungle Shrine onto the battlefield. Play this land over here, and then we will go ahead and just pass the turn after that. We will then untap and draw into a Requisition Raid, which is a pretty decent way to destroy artifacts and enchantments and to buff our creatures, most likely using this when we have a ton of creatures on the board. So we'll go ahead and put that into our hand. Now we can go ahead and play our planes for this turn so that we can cast our Explore. So we're going to go ahead and tap 2 mana, play the Explore, which reads that we can play an additional land during this turn. So that Mirage Mesa that we got on turn 1 will then enter the battlefield. We're also going to draw a card. We will draw into a Turn Timber Sower that says whenever 1 or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere, we can create a 0/1 plant token. So we're going to go ahead and put this card into our hand, looking at our hand. What we're going to be doing next turn, we will find out based on what we draw. Now, we're going to go ahead and start by passing the turn over here. We will untap and draw. We're going to draw into Heaven and Earth, which is more removal, which is decent. It seems like a board wipe. And then Earth deals X damage to each creature without flying, but we can only cast this version from our graveyard. So that is a stipulation that we have over there. What I'm noticing is that we don't have another land over here to play. So we're going to have to cast our Winding Way. So let's take a look at what we have. The Mirage Mesa, when it enters the battlefield, we were supposed to choose a color. In this instance, I think I'm going to choose this to be the color green. So this is basically a green mana. So let's tap the green mana that we have here, as well as the plains. And we're going to cast our Winding Way, choosing lands, because we get to reveal the top 4 cards of our library, and then we put all cards of the chosen type revealed this way into my hand and the rest into our graveyard. So we're going to grab our lands. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 cards revealed. So we get 2 lands out of this. The enchantment and the sorcery will both go to the graveyard, and then these lands go into our hand. So let's go ahead and just put these over here. We have yet to play a land this turn, so we're going to go ahead and play this land. And just so that we maximize our mana, let's say somebody played a Soul Ring on turn 1. We'll tap 2, and we'll activate the Requisition Raid, targeting the Soul Ring, destroying the Soul Ring on their side of the battlefield. And then after that, we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn again. So now that we have 4 mana, we will draw into an Arcane Signet, which is more mana for us. We'll go ahead and put this into our hand. Personally, I would cast the Map the Frontier after we play our land for turn. If you notice, we're not really playing a lot of creatures here. We're going to go ahead and put this land onto the battlefield, and then we're going to tap 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to go cast this Map the Frontier, which allows us to search our library for up to 2 basic land cards and or desert cards and put them onto the battlefield tap. So we're definitely going to be choosing deserts for this card every single time, so allow me to grab those cards. So the lands we grabbed are the Scavenger Grounds and Hatchup Oasis. Guys, if you get to tutor for a desert, you're always going to want to grab the Scavenger Grounds because this allows you to exile all graveyards, which could, for you, could be a bad thing, but if you're playing against a deck that is a graveyard deck, this could absolutely just remove somebody from the game. This card is pretty powerful. So we're going to allow these lands to enter the battlefield. And then we're going to go ahead and put this in the graveyard, and then we will pass the turn after that because we have nothing else to play. So let's untap our lands. We now have 7 lands on the battlefield. We will draw into a Plains. I do not see a land over here in our hand, so we're just going to go ahead and play this Plains for turn. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cast our commander. We will tap 8, and then we will play Yuma. Yuma's going to enter the battlefield, and because Yuma enters the battlefield, we get to sacrifice a land. And then if we do, we get to draw a card because Yuma does that in his full art foil. We are going to choose to sacrifice this Plains because it's just the Plains. And then we're going to draw a card. We're drawing into a Bitter Reunion, which is a card that we get to sacrifice to give our creatures haste, which may be relevant at some point during this video. But more importantly, when this enters, we get to discard a card, and then we get to draw 2 cards. So this will go into our hand. Got a little bit of card draw here. Unfortunately, we don't have any more mana left, so we're just going to have to pass the turn in this instance. Keeping in mind that we did have the ability to sacrifice a desert, and if we sacrifice a desert, we would have been able to place a Plant Warrior creature token onto the battlefield, which is a 4/2 with our commander, but we just want to save our deserts and utilize those abilities when we absolutely need to. So we will now just pass the turn, and then we're going to draw into the Oracle of Moldiah. We get to play an additional land on each of our turns, and then we can play with the top card of our library revealed, and then we can also play lands from the top of our library. So I'm not even going to choose to put this into my hand because I know I want to play this card right now. So what we're going to do is pay 1, 2, 3, 4. We will cast the Oracle of Moldiah. That's going to enter the battlefield. And then we're going to pay, well, let me just put the deck right here because this has to be revealed. That is a Angel of the Ruins, which is not something that we can play in this instance. Not yet, at least. And then we'll pay 3 mana, and then we will cast the Raminap Excavator from our hand. When this enters the battlefield, does nothing, but this gives us the ability to play lands from our graveyards, which is pretty relevant in this instance because what we're going to do is go to combat, and we will choose to attack with Yuma. And as we attack with Yuma, how about we choose to sacrifice the Hatchup Oasis? Now, as we sacrifice this is a desert, so we are going to create a Plant Warrior creature token, and we get to draw a card. So the Angel will enter our hand, and then looking at the top card of our library, it is a land. So technically we could play this, but how about we end combat, right? We go to our second main phase. Let us play the Hatchup Oasis from the graveyard, and then just so we get our desert back. And then let's play the Sunscorched Divide from the top of our library as well. We're revealing the top card of our library, which is going to be the Satyr Wayfinder. And then from this instance, I think all we can do is just tap 2 mana here, actually, and we will cast the Arcane Signet from our hand onto the battlefield. Now we are really ramping here. We will pass the turn after that. and then untapping things. We will draw the Satyr Wayfinder. This is going to go into our hand. Then we will reveal, which is a Sand Scout, which is a card that does a lot of things. Let's just read this out really quickly. When Sand Scout enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, search your library for a desert card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. That will almost never happen. We will always have more lands. Whenever one or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 1/1 token. And it triggers only once each turn. All right, so it basically acts like our commander, kind of, which is pretty cool, pretty cool. So what we're going to do next is, I think in this instance, let's play our land for turn from our graveyard with the excavator. And then what we're going to do is pay 2 mana. We'll cast the Satyr Wayfinder, which allows us to reveal the top 4 cards of our library, and then put a land card from among them into our hand, and then the rest go into our graveyard. So we're going to reveal 1. We already knew that one. 2, Kiri, cool. 3, Nesting Dragon, oh. And then 4 is the Return of the Wild Speaker. Unfortunately, there are no lands here, so these are all just going to go into the graveyard. But that allows us to reveal the top, which is a Bovine Intervention, which is a removal spell that we could draw into. It should be 2s, but what we're actually going to do next is pay 2 mana. Let's just find this, and I believe I need a red, so this mountain over here is going to get tapped. And we're going to cast this Bitter Reunion, and as we cast this enchantment, we have to discard a card. I'm going to choose to discard Angel. No, we'll discard Heaven and Earth so that we can activate the Aftermath ability should we want to. And what we're going to end up doing is drawing 2 cards because of that. So we're going to draw the Bovine, and then we're going to draw into Martial's Anthem, which is pretty relevant because this allows us to get our creatures out of our graveyard in case of a board wipe. So let's just go ahead and add these 2 cards to our hand. And then we get to reveal the top of our library again, which is an Unholy Heat. We are finding a lot of removal right now, which is pretty cool. So I think what we're going to end up doing is going to combat. We will attack with Yuma, sacrificing the mountains. Guys, prioritize sacrificing the lands that you already tapped. So we're going to end up sacrificing this Plains, which would cause us to draw the Unholy Heat. That will go over to our hand, revealing the top card of our library, which is a command tower. How about actually we don't choose the Plains to be sacrificed? Let's choose to sacrifice the Oasis again, because that's going to create another Plant Warrior token for us. So that's going to go into the graveyard. And then when we go to our post-combat main phase, let's play this command tower so that we get to reveal the top card of our library, which is a Chromatic Lantern. And I think that you guys are pretty much getting the gist of what this deck wants to do. If you guys like this video, you guys can like this video. If I convinced you to purchase this commander deck, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you're not interested in this deck at all, let me know in the comment section below, okay? Also keep in mind, guys, that we do have a Discord for this community over here. So if you want to play games of Commander against me, or you want to join the tournaments that we're going to be hosting in the New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia area, you can let me know by joining the Discord, and then you'll be notified of those events over there. And always keep in mind, guys, that you guys can like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, so when videos like this go live, you will be immediately notified, okay? Always remember, everyone, eat healthy, okay? Work out every single day. And most importantly, you guys got to remember to believe in yourself, all right? Peace out, people.